Time for Pop Pop Plays.
Good morning and welcome to Pop Up Plays. Today we are starting a Mother Ostankya campaign after the Shadows of Change content additions. We're looking at the 4.2.0 build for Total Warhammer 3. We will have a campaign for the Changeling for Lu Bao and one for Mother Ostankya. So we'll have a campaign for all three of the legendary lords. This video and the ones that follow will be for Mother Ostankya. I'm not sure when these will go up on our YouTube site, so please keep an eye out for them. Hit like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That way you can find out when Pop-Up Plays videos go up. I'm not going to continue. If you want to watch The Changeling, we will have a video for that. It's a campaign that I really enjoy. Mother Ostankya, or as I like to call her, the Baba Yaga, even though I'm fully aware that she's not Baba Yaga, and it sounds like they have removed Baba Yaga as one of the characters. So I guess they should do whatever they want. The reclusive Ungol hag Mother Ostankya travels far from the Kislev homeland to discover trinkets for her potential Indian nations. I like Mother Ostankya. I have played her campaign one time, not to completion, but shortly after the Shadows of Change originally came out. I like her style. It is weird that she is in the Dark Elf area. I know a lot of people have complained about that, but I have also do believe that it's nice to have a Kislev character that isn't simply in Kislev. I know Boris isn't either, but it makes playing Tsarina and Kalston kind of a really similar campaigns, and if she was in that area, as much as that would make sense lore-wise, it would just be a third Kislev character in Kislev, and I don't want to run Kislev/Empire a third time. Her starting armies now have the new Kislev warriors, the melee troops with halberds, good anti-large. Everybody's saying that they are a pretty solid troop through a big chunk of the game, even as tier 1 units. We'll see how they go. Those are new for the 4.2 edition for the Shadows of Change. Didn't have them before. She gets one. Akashina ambushers, those guys, man, they punch way above weight. They are really, really solid. We'll definitely be adding more of those to our army as quick as we can. Incarnative elemental beasts, I love giant monsters. So that's all you have to say. You can basically make it anything you want. Giant monsters are always great. The things in the woods are good. Anti-infantry, fast, scary. I like those guys too. All the spiders, why not? Tier 2 spiders. They're giant. They have poison. They're spiders. That's what they are. The big thing with them is, especially for the Ostankya campaign, they can be pumped up and be pretty solid through most of the campaign. Cave bats. I like bats. I like the little flying guys, mainly to chase off broken units from the enemy side, especially cavalry. If you can catch up them and just run off the board, doesn't matter how many things the bats kill. If a whole unit is gone, that whole unit is gone. Ostankya's faction effects: Winds of Magic, Power Reserve Capacity, +1 for each resource producing building. Hey, that's great. Global recruitment duration, -1 for incarnate elemental of beast units. That's the big guy. Takes one less turn to globally recruit them. It's handy. Melee attack +8 when fighting against armies that spread corruption. All armies. That's not Dark Elves, so, great. It's a weird choice. We made a weird choice here. Melee defense, +10 for spider hatchlings and giant spider units. It makes them, from 30 to 40 melee defense for all armies. It makes them good frontline units for just kind of holding. Their hit points aren't terrible. Their armor is, good. Spiders have good armor, apparently. They don't have shields, which isn't great, but again, that there's a reason why these guys can kind of hold out until the end of the game. Lord effects, targeting range plus 30% for spells. That's handy. Shoot further. Enemy wins a magic power reserve -5 per turn. That's not, I mean, that's a thing, but it's not great. Magical attacks from Lord's army. That's really good. Again, if we were fighting demons, but we're fighting the Dark Elves, so, you know, that's a thing. Miscast base chance, -50% for embedded Hag Witch. That's good and probably better now with the new Lore of Witches, I believe is what it's called. Lore of Hags, maybe. Each spell apparently has 2 different versions. The first is a hex, and then if you overcast it, it is a, I guess they call it a blessing that you cast on your own troops. And I don't know if when you overcast it, you still have miscast. So if that's the case, this would make that harder for the hags to miscast those. I do think that it probably would have been better if Castalton was maybe the one that went overseas to fight the Dark Elves, and it would make more sense if Mother Ostankya had maybe stuck around in Kislev. Thematically, this bonus versus spreading corruption and some of the other stuff just makes more sense. But it is what it is. Okay, we will change one little setting thing. I normally don't trigger the crisis in turns. I usually do it on long victory. So after the long victory, we will have the endgame crisis. That way, I don't have it showing up maybe earlier than I need to face while I'm already doing other stuff. Most of the rest of this stuff is fine. I sea lanes, endgame scenarios. It's pretty much all of that anyways. I've messed around with time limits before, and I tried doing it shorter and decided I did not like that, so I moved that back to 60 minutes. I usually play normal. I don't like the cheating that the computer gets on higher difficulties for either of these, and I'm not that great of a player to really play consistently on those. I have tried a little bit. Battle difficulty on higher than normal is a little hard for me. I can probably, with some of my better armies that I'm more used to, play on hard campaign, and sometimes that's handy. But for this, especially since we're just kind of looking at the new stuff, we're going to keep it on normal. Let's go ahead and start campaign. As I said, I have actually, when the Shadows of Change came out, played all 3 of the new Legendary Lords. I really love the Changeling, and you can watch those videos as I enjoy running around hiding. I really like Mother Ostankya. Her Cauldron ability is very similar to Grom the Paunch, which is one of my favorite Legendary Lords. I like Grom the Paunch's Cauldron ability. His eating habits are quite fun and really powerful. I like the moving around the map to try and find different ingredients for him, although that can be a little bit annoying because some of those things can be a little hard to find. And Mother Ostankya is a similar effect, where you're getting sort of ingredients to add to her ability to cast hexes or blessings, while being different enough to feel like a different mechanic, and ultimately it is. Grom the Punch gives you an effect that applies to all of your armies and then to him. They're really good effects and they're consistent. Mother Ostankya makes trinkets that you can use in any of your battles, and you can use all of them if you want, but when you use them, they are used up, so you have to make more, and it takes time to actually make them. But they're placed on individual units, and some of those effects are really strong, especially put on the correct unit. Can really ruin a unit's day. So I've really enjoyed playing as her and playing that mechanic. I also enjoyed playing in the Dark Elf area because I don't play in that zone much. I don't like the Dark Elves. The only one that I do like is forgive me if I get his name wrong, Rakath, the one that captures beasts. And I really enjoyed him in 2. The area that he was in was kind of a fun area to play out of. The area where he is now feels punishingly hard. And the last couple of times I've tried to play his campaign, there are some weird bugs. Some of those had gotten fixed, but he still, the last time I played, has the bolt throwers, and if you took the skill with him for bolt throwers, it basically broke bolt throwers' ability to change their ammo in his army, which is not great. I like the guy. I like collecting the big monsters and then being able to use them in armies. Honestly, my favorite thing about playing Total War Warhammer is taking giant monsters and smashing them into armies of infantrymen, like a kid with toys. So I really enjoyed his campaign. I didn't like pretty much any of the other Dark Elves, and I don't play much in that zone. I played Mazdamundi recently. I really like the Lizardmen a lot, but Mazdamundi is basically punished for trying to push up into that area, so there's almost no point in doing it. I like the Wood Elves. I played Sisters of Twilight a number of times, and they start right there, but with the Wood Elves, you really only care about the immediate area around your forests, and then you leave. So you're not really playing in that zone much. So I've really not played much in that area except for the one campaign with Mother Ostankya. We'll skip this if you want to watch the introductory video. By all means, enjoy.
The wise respect the land and avoid bringing my hexes to their door.
They sure do. They sure do, Mother Ostankya, and the Dark Elves should have heeded your warning. Back to victory, the Daughters of the Forest. Mother Ostankya must obtain 6 forbidden hexes to unleash upon the world, each guarded by those intent on keeping these powers away from her. Claiming the first 5 hexes uncovers the 6th and most terrible hex, the ultimate punishment for Kislev's enemies, the Malediction of Ruin. Successfully performing this final hex leads to campaign victory. Hexes reveal themselves as Mother Ostankya uses spirit essence gathered from winning battles, purging corruption, and occupying magical forests, in turn powering her witch's hut. Incantations and hexes themselves. Learn more about the Kislev faction here. Engage the enemy, defeat an enemy belonging to the faction in battle, Bleak Holds. I will learn the Purification Chant Hex, and I will gain 10 Spirit Hex Essence. That's great. And there's my Baba Yaga. I really wish I could change her name to Baba Yaga, but I cannot. Here is my Hag Witch Beasts. That's good, I like beasts. Let's go ahead and join. Protective Charms. Great. Let's change our camera settings for our armies to be fastest and fastest. Get that out of the way. There's Bleakhold Fortress. Hag Hall is actually north of us. They're angry but not at war. Currently we are at war with these guys, so we want to basically take the entire coast. We're so close to the regular elves. There's not really any good reason to attack them, and we won't. We will probably just run a normal Hag Witch campaign, take this and then push it north if we can. At least that'll be the plan. Here's our ice court. She gets access to the ice court, but I think we have to use research technology to do it. I like the ice court in concept. I don't like it in practice. Technology, our diplomacy. Do we have
Noble
anything?
of Nagara.
Trade agreements, nothing. That's
Malevolent law.
That's okay. We'll look at our objectives, victory conditions. Obtain 3 of the forbidden hexes. That's up here. 5, and then final. We get a short victory, which is hero capacity +3 for all heroes. That's great. I love that. Long campaign. Achieve the short victory condition. Obtain all of the hexes. Only then can you successfully unleash the Malediction of Ruin. Long victory. Hero recruit rank +10 for all provinces. That's pretty good. extra heroes, and then a higher recruitment, especially going into the end game scenario, and possibly if you wanted to paint the map. That would be a lot of fun. Our hexes are up here. We get Purification Chant, which removes all corruption from the target settlement's province. That comes in handy. Covenant's Curse Mark. Campaign, cast it on campaign movement range, negative 50%, wins a magic cost, plus 40% for all spells, and disables March, use underway, and teleportation stances for the target. That's handy if especially if we're chasing an army. I believe you have to cast it on an army itself. It doesn't specifically say there. Teleports the target army to a magical forest. That's really handy for movement around the map. Once we get that, then we can kind of go home and start taking care of Kislev if we want to do that. Bewitching Lure, income gain from target settlement's income, 50%. It's handy. It's just one settlement for 5 turns. Sure. Recreant Spirit, an army consisting of things in the woods, incarnate elemental beasts, and elemental bears will be summoned in the target settlement's owner's territory every other turn. I don't really remember using that one before, but that could be a handy one too. Once you've got all 5, then we have the ability to find the last one, which I believe is a quest that we will be given. I gotta check that. Let's pause real quick. Well, your pop-up made a mistake. That was not the pause button, that was just the stop recording. I am not sure at this point if this will come up as a part 2 to the introductory to Mother Ostankya, or if my wonderful wife will be nice enough to edit this together. Either way, I'm an old man, and computers befuddle me. When I was a kid, we rolled rocks uphill for fun, so it is what it is. I don't remember where we were. Hopefully I explained most of what we're looking at. What I don't have is your Witch's Hut. I must have 2 or more trinkets to access the Witch's Hut. Gain trinkets through fighting battles or making alliances. So, we will instead attack Estrella Wrathbringer and push her out of our territories. Those are all of our territories. Decisive victory, that's great. They have a War Hydra. That's big. We will go ahead and fight it, though. Normally, especially on a decisive victory, I would just let it go. I don't like fighting the settlement battles very often, so most of those I'll probably skip if they're in our favor. Some of these I will fight. Some of them I won't. You will find that I pause a lot. The battles kind of stress me out a little bit, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I need things to slow down a little bit so I can make sure everybody's going where I want them to. Hopefully that does not become too annoying. If it does, please make a comment below and tell me that I am old. We will fight this battle. I want to try out our new Kislev warriors, and I like watching the incarnate elemental of beast run through things and wreck them up. Excuse me, I am taking my lunch now as well, so sorry if I make some eating noises. The only thing really over there that I've got to worry about is that War Hydra. The swordsmen are not going to do it, guys. Sorry. I forget what the witches. I believe they're anti-infantry, so I probably do want to watch out my halberdiers for those. But the spiders, honestly, are more than a match for not taking them, but for holding them. Mother Ostankya is a chariot. I believe they have lowered her hit points for 4.2.0, making her a little bit weaker and a little more squishy, which is not my favorite. But she probably is what I want to run into them. The Hag Witch, I also believe, is on a weird sled thing. This is also a chariot. Let's take a look. Yeah, she gets a couple of big elk or something, whereas Ostankya gets the things in the woods pull hers. Charge bonus 62, so it's seriously good old women for fighting at combat. Not going to channel magic. I never do it. My experience in Total War Warhammer 3 is it's just a way to punish yourself, so don't do that. In Total War Warhammer 2, it wasn't great, and in this, it is just terrible. I have not tried it in a while. Maybe they've changed it. I'm just going to go straight to start deployment. You can see their War Hydra, I assume. Their army's kind of hiding right along in there. That's fine. A bunch of our stuff gets to. Gets the Vanguard deployment, which is handy, including the spiders. But not that great. I don't want to really hit them kind of piecemeal. Let's see. Where do I want to place everybody?
Mother Ostankya.
Maybe put these guys on the edge. And what we want to try and do with them is we want to get those guys into the halberdiers. We want to get them into the Hydra if we can. Bats don't really matter. I didn't take a close look. I don't think those were shards. I don't think they have ranged attacks. Maybe those guys were, though. I forgot to check. Ashkina ambushers are good archers, but they're good in melee. Their attack is 26, melee defense is 26. That's solid frontline troops for early game at any rate. And honestly, they kind of just stay that way through most of the game. Mother Ostankya has a weird thing where her buildings that she gets, she doesn't get regular troops until she meets back up with her countrymen. So I have to make do basically with a bunch of weirdos and monsters. But for weirdos, the Akshina ambushers are actually some really good troops. But the Kislev Warriors, these are probably the only ones we'll see for quite a while. Let's... those guys don't Vanguard deploy yet. I'm just going to set him straight in the center. Basically the same thing with Old Mother, except the Hag Witch on the side. That's pretty good. Set up. We'll make a control group out of that and move them slowly forward. And move these guys kind of up on the side and bring them around. And the bats will probably just, well, they'll scout out and then just hang out until people start running. Although this is small enough battle, we might not even really have that as an issue. Move into the woods. These guys up. I'm not even sure what that was. There's the War Hydra. There was their guy. Witch Elves. Bleak Swords. Oh, they do have something. What is shooting at me? Must have been a spell. Okay, well that's fair. Oop. Probably wanted to stop. Yeah, okay. Mother Ostankya, she gets 2 spells right off the bat. Lore of the Hag, the Forbidden Fens. We can cast and hit all enemies in range, which reduces speed and damages their vigor. It's not too bad, and they're in range of that. And we've got Witch's Brew, which is a breath spell with poison. And they are in range of that too. Let's go ahead and just, right off the bat, get that in there. Mother Ostankya also has an active ability. She gets a base heal with a cooldown of 2 minutes. 0.08% for 23 seconds. It's not bad. Plus, gets you vigor back. And then Fury of the Land. Looks like that. Gives magical attacks to Strider and can cause fear. Also a good ability. So I'll have her spell going. Wisian's Wild Form, base weapon damage, piercing, and armor is pretty good. And they want to cast that on those guys in just a second. Those guys sideways, let everybody else kind of come up. If I can get those guys into the witches who have poison but are anti-infantry, he's going to wreck stuff. Also an ability, the Howl, which is lowers leadership and reduces speed. Kind of handy, but leadership is a really big deal. Alright, let's get in there. Mother Ostankya fires, which is kind of fun. Ostankya. She's wild form. Those guys. Let's have the bats harass her, and those guys too. Try to light those guys up. He's in a thing. Kislev warriors can get in with the big swords. Mother Ostankya. Oh, that's right. Her heal is also an AoE, which is also great. Get in there. Oh, I forgot. She can. Hagwitch can summon a unit. Let's get that in there. Got a lot of fight going on in the woods. Looks like we did get those guys into that. Bring Mother Ostankya around. Go ahead and cause fear. Spiders. Witch elves. No, we go up to the witch elves. These guys are good enough for that. Their leader is running away. Broken but not shattered. Now they're shattered, and that's it. Battle. The bats definitely took some damage, I assume from a spell. I wasn't quite sure what that was, but they didn't have ranged guys, so it had to have been a caster. Yeah, Supreme Sorceress of Fire. Didn't look like a fire spell I recognized, but I'll allow it. I don't know why this screen, and maybe this is just me, is always so bad, because these numbers are never correct, or at least they never seem to be correct. It's like it's starting to tally it up. The damage is usually pretty close. I lost 38 units to their 139. The bats took the most, and that was from almost certainly that spell. Which is fine. They're early on bats aren't the strongest, and I'm not sure how well Mother Ostankya actually pumps the bats up. I know under vampire counts, bats get weirdly strong later. If you spend a couple of points, skill points for lords or for tech, while they don't do a ton of damage, they tend to be weirdly defensive. So they can kind of just be like a mobile tar pit for stronger units. And while they don't exactly punch above weight, they can be really annoying. As I believe I mentioned, I like the light flyers, especially, or really light cav, scout cav, mainly to run units off the board. The loss of your unit for the amount of time it takes to run a guy back, another unit off and then back is usually well worth making sure that that unit isn't coming back. If you do weird leadership lowering stuff, you can make a unit run long before they're they really ought to, and maybe still have a lot of units, a lot of individual figures left in their unit. So if you can run them off the board, that's always worth it. And you'd rather not use higher level infantry or more important units to do that. So the really like bats and wolves and things like that do a great job of taking that. Plus they do good for flanking and either attacking ranged or especially artillery, or attacking from behind and hammer and anvil. It's a really good use. Depending on the army, I'll keep at least a couple units like that in until pretty late in the campaign, unless I can upgrade them. So some armies, you might upgrade something similar to Bats or Furies into Feral Manticore, which can kind of do the same thing. Got a weapon. Not my favorite, but something. Spirit Essence is great. We'll need it. Army replenished by 4. We're probably going to take that because we're going to try and push onto that town. Treasury 430 is not a whole lot, but it's not a surprise here. So we're going to take the Salaic provides the benevolence of the goddess shall reinvigorate and restore those who suffer, which heals my
There are
units.
places where the Covenant's magic seeps from the land, befouled by the blight of corruption.
We get the Purification Chant, great. Defeat an army, we got that. So we learn the Purification Chant and an additional 10 Spirit X. Use the Purification Chant and get another 20 Spirit. We got the Tormentor Sword, which is not my favorite. That just outright killed them, that's great. We need to consume 100 Spirit Essence. If we do, we'll get 1,000 Treasury. That's fine. The gold has some corruption, so we'll go ahead and Purification Chant and use it on our thing. Perform it at 20.
Mother.
And immediately get it back. Great. And now, no corruption. So, that's what we wanted. Can't use it again for 5 turns, but that's fine. It's only, again, middlingly helpful here. I guess it's because of their corruption to Slaanesh and stuff. It's maybe actually a little more helpful here. These guys are... What are they actually? Can't see them. Yeah, okay. It's the other guys. They're just
Mother
green.
Ostankya.
We want to take Forest of Arnheim as well, and that is... Let's see, what are we looking at?
Magic is not the only way.
So, take them on decisive victory. This time they do have Dark Shards, Dread Spears, and Bleak Swords. Don't imagine this is a settlement battle. And honestly, there's not really a big reason to fight it. It's just these guys. What are we at? We're not that far. Let's go ahead and fight it. Let's go ahead and see. I do apologize. My computer does not have an SSD big enough anymore that can hold Total War Warhammer 3. My SSD was never that big to begin with, and with the operating system and then other things that have had to be required to go on it, I basically can't fit any modern, decent games on there anymore, which means I'm stuck loading slower than I certainly would like. So we'll have to bear with me when we're loading in maps specifically. End of turn stuff can take a little while, but honestly, I don't feel like that's too bad. But the maps can take quite a bit, and even coming out of them, then loading the campaign map can take a while. But I feel bad I did not check to see whether or not Mother Ostankya had gone up a level. That would have been smart to have done right before this. That's okay. The enemy sallies out to fight on the field. We will face them. We will face them down. Start deployment. Never channel magic. There is no point. This is kept pretty much my whole thing. Let's just go ahead and do that. That is probably exactly what I want. The only thing I don't want this time is put the bats further away, because the dark shards, you can definitely hit them, so we'll bring the bats around and behind. I think we're going to move these guys and actually try to flank with them. And bring this whole group up as one, including the things in the woods. This time I remember that 1 minute into the fight, she gets to summon a unit of things in the woods. That's super handy.
I am no hag.
She is no hag. Gotta remember she gets melee attack and enemies cannot move around her. So 1.5 minute use. Really handy. Mother Ostankya and then the hags to a lesser extent are just weird. Man, they're so weird. They are chariots. There's no question about that. I don't know if there's a magic chariot. Toggle details. I don't recall if there's a way to see what her weight is. If there is, please comment down below and remind me. I don't remember how to check her weight. It's pretty decent as long as you're not running her into like the dread spears would be a mistake. So they're chariots. I'm not the best at chariots. They're not my favorite. I prefer cavalry. Cavalry makes more sense to me. Chariots, I watch other people use them and they do amazing. And chariots for me seem like they get stuck in combat and then they die. There's kind of one exception, and that's the black coach. I feel like I do a pretty good job with the black coach, but that's because I don't use it like a regular chariot. But helpfully enough for me, Mother Ostankya and her hag witches, they are basically a light artillery. Their range isn't super good, 120 and 100. Damage is not super heavy. Mother Ostankya's is 416 total. Split between base missile and then explosive, which does a little bit less. But it's decent, so she can kind of roll up, and I believe she fires in an arc. I don't think it's a straight shot. So I can kind of leave her behind the lines and not actually even use her as a chariot, and then cast spells and just let her blast away, which is probably what we'll try this combat instead of running her in. Because again, I'm just not. There's a lot of, even more than cavalry, in my opinion, chariots require micromanagement on a level that I just am not good at, and find frustrating in a lot of ways. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a start. Let's go ahead and just plan on running these in.
About me. About Mother
Pause for just a second. These guys are just so good. They have stalk, so these guys are just hidden. Surprise. I'm going to move them up and attack the dark shards, essentially from a bit of range. Let's go ahead and start harassing with those guys, and hopefully it'll be a big surprise when arrows start coming out of nowhere onto those dark shards.
And her curses and
I really like the ambushers. They're really good.
Because the enemy does not. But I will teach them well.
Some of these spiders are large creatures, so anti-infantry isn't going to do jack to those guys. These guys are still hidden. Oh, now we see them. Oh, but it's too late. We're about to fire, and we're firing. Okay. Mother Ostankya, how far does your breath go? Not far. What about her thing? Wisdom's wild form isn't going to do anything. Okay. Yeah. Bring those bats in. I'm going to pause real quick, because again, I prefer to make sure that everything's going where I want it to go. That's good. These guys are sword infantry. Yeah, that's gonna wreck that guy. Mother Ostankya can stop. And at this point, now she can do her breath. She can attack those guys, and those guys on the sides keep going. And let's pull those out. That should work. Sounds good. Sorry, I have to check something off screen real quick. Yay, okay. Let's unpause and let it go. Ambushers are doing a good number on those. He's attacking them. Let's go ahead and get that on the spiders. I want to get that heal up there. Close enough to the spiders. Get in behind those guys. Get that. Warriors. And we've got a victory. And since this is a settlement, we'll just immediately end. There's no point in trying to hunt down any guys who are not coming back. I don't know why all the time, at any rate, in fights. For instance, the first fight we did, I didn't kill all of them, but I won the battle, but that army was wiped out. Sometimes those armies aren't wiped out, they get to retreat, heavily damaged, but they get to retreat. I don't know on the field why that happens. Sometimes it's a mystery to me. I do understand when you fight a settlement battle, if you defeat them, they're always wiped out. They go with the town because you've taken the town. So unless you're planning on doing some healing with spells, there's not really any point in watching them slowly walk off the field. Whereas if you think there's a chance that away from a settlement that the army might get to retreat, sometimes it behooves you to chase down their retreating units with your faster units to kill as much of their stuff as you can, so when they do retreat, there isn't much of an army left to fight after that. It was definitely a decisive battle. Our losses were only 7, and almost not noticeable in the health bar. Fighting on normal for me, I usually can do better than what the auto resolve will say in most of the battles. Makes me feel a little bit good. Playing on hard, that band gets narrowed a whole lot. It kind of depends on what type of battle it is. Usually when it's a decisive battle, again, I'll just let the computer play it out and auto-resolve it, but if I want to do it myself, I can usually do it with considerably less damage than what they're going to take. And if it's important, if it's a valiant defeat, I'll usually fight those out, because I can usually turn a valiant defeat into a win. The next level of defeat is usually a toss-up. Sometimes I can win those, sometimes I can't, and that'll all come down to army composition and terrain and stuff like that. Another magical item, a feathered torque, which is one of my least favorite treasures in the game. It's not that there aren't flying units, but I almost don't care. And usually we'll end up getting rid of that. Mother Ostankya killed 58, gold to 374. She killed 32, but whatever she was killing wasn't worth much. Sure. Oh, see, and there's these guys did about as good as Mother Ostankya. He killed a bunch of guys, but the guys he killed weren't worth a whole lot, I guess. That says they killed 28, didn't do anything, so now that makes me wonder how accurate some of this is. But not bad. Check. We will sack. We want Spirit Essence, especially this early. Any Spirit Essence is good. So we'll sack it and then... A new trinket! You have discovered a new trinket! Combine it with another in the Witch's Hut to create an incantation to bless your units of curse the enemy in the battlefield. We will do that in a moment. We'll attack again and just occupy. Even though it damages the settlement this early, that's probably not a lot of damage anyways. Mother Ostankya, she has gone up a level. My Baba Yaga, in fact it looks like she's gone up twice. That's great, we'll give her both. We will take Rock Marcher, just an easy first pick. I know professional players all pretty much seem like they always like to do the blue line first, and a lot of times that's what I do as well. We've got control, we've got recruitment cost, which I don't know. By the time you get that up, you've got most of your army probably. Yeah, you're adding guys later, but a 15% recruitment cost is, I don't want to say it's nothing, but it's nothing. Attrition can be important. Fervent Corruption -1 can be handy, but we've got that hex that takes care of that. Draftmaster. Draftmaster's good. I like that. Recruit rank +1 is fine. Doesn't mean a whole lot on its own, really, but local recruitment +1, even +1 for local recruitment, in my opinion, is good. Lightning Strike. Still, I don't take it very often. I don't know if I like it. I don't, at normal difficulty anyways, run into the issue where I need to stop reinforcements all that often. It does come up, but not all that often. She gets Quartermaster. I feel like they took Quartermaster out of a bunch of Legendary Lords, but she gets it, which is great. Logistician, casualty replenishment rate is great. Wish that was at the beginning and not at the end. Ambush defense chance, not something I will ever take. Chance of intercepting an army using underway is handy, but 10% isn't that great. Renowned and Feared, additional upkeep, so between Quartermaster being 9 and this, you get 17% upkeep, which is great. Additional 5% campaign movement range is good. I don't really care about the hero thing. Recruit rank +1, and so you'll get a total of recruitment rank 2. At that point, that's pretty good. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't care about this at all. An additional 5% is good, but 5% isn't really that much. The actual recruit rank is decent, and I don't care about the hero thing at all. Not at the level that I'm playing at. But adding the upkeep on there makes this a really good point, and is one that I will want. Redline I don't do very often, depending on what kind of game I'm playing. But Mother Ostankya gets Creatures of the Land, which is weapon strength and melee attack for all of the weird little monsters she's going to get, which includes the spiders, includes the bats, apparently now includes the frostworm, the little guys, all the bears, and the snow leopards. Almost certainly we will be getting that. Inspiring Presence is handy. Character's aura leadership effect of +5 is good. Unit experience gain per turn +75 as a passive is fine. I'm not all that impressed with that, but it's handy just to have it. She's got her own special stuff, the Borka's Wrath, so effect duration +100% for hex spells. Spirit Bear is the thing that we really want. It gives her a weird magic missile attack, and it is weird. We'll see it. It's my experience has been it's hard to use. Coven's Will, Spirit cost -20 for hexes. That's good. Winds of Magic power reserve capacity though +20 is great. Mother's Rally, control +5. Unlocks hero recruitment Hag Witch, all provinces. We want that. +2 more Hag Witches. We want that as well. Forest Lure, ambush success chance 25%. I don't ambush a lot, and I know it's a higher level of skill for players. If it's not a faction that's really kind of designed around ambush, I just don't do it very often. I feel like it just doesn't work well for me. I rarely get the enemy to fall into traps like that. Sometimes I do, and we'll see if that happens this campaign, but I rarely do it. Melee attack +5 for characters in army when in own territory, and charge bonus for same thing. So Force Lore is one that I might end up skipping. Inspiring Chant wins a magic power reserve +2 per turn. Armies in region, so it's not just her, it's any ally, I assume. Character order leadership effect, another +5, which is great. Cooldown, -25 for Gulyas. I'm going to say it's probably goulash, and is kind of a gumbo she's making. Really good. So Inspiring Chant is definitely something we'll be looking for, because it's a great heal, especially since it's max 5, but it's affecting allies in a range. Then Folklore, attacks cause cursive on hero effect, reducing combat potential. Melee defense -24, melee attack -24, accuracy -30, speed -25. Really, really strong ability. I assume, I'll have to check, I assume that it applies to her ranged attack as well, but maybe it doesn't. Upgrades Spirit Bear with a deadly lingering damage effect, so now when the Spirit Bear hits, it also does damage over time. Really funny. An attribute causes fear when fighting against humans. It's a cute little quirk, but that's about all it is. Wildings, upgrade for most of her beast units, charge bonus and physical resistance. Physical resistance is great, charge bonus is decent. Force Purity. Attrition -50%, casualty suffered from chaos attrition, all armies. And corruption -1. Again, the corruption thing, not that important, especially where we're at. It's just weird. The attrition is handy, but again, chaos attrition is not something that's really going to be much of a problem for us. Embodiment of the Forest, ammunition +100% during forest battles. Okay, sure, I believe you. Physical resistance 10% for Mother Ostankya. That's great. It's a free point to get that. And an attribute, Woodsman, for the Lord's Army. We can pass through trees. I still don't really understand what that's supposed to be. So if you know what it is, comment below. It's interesting, she does not get the +10% defense versus ranged attacks that most Lords and Heroes get. She does get the physical resistance, which is great, but not that one. The thing we will be going down basically first after the Route Marcher will be your spells. If your hero or especially your Lord is a caster, it behooves you to unlock at least a good range of the spells that they have. In my opinion, before you do even the blue line, you want to be able to be using that magic. The passive is Fate of Interlopers, which lowers leadership for enemies and increases spell resistance to allies. Spell resistance doesn't impress me all that much. -4 leadership for 11 seconds, though. That's really good. That can turn a couple of individual combats. Whispers in the Woods. Okay, so we've got Forbidden Fens, which is the Hex. Lowers their speed, charge speed, and damages their vigor. If we cast it as the Blessing, then we can cast it on our allies, all of them, which gives them speed. Charge speed increases their vigor, gives them Strider and Unspottable, which is pretty handy. And my understanding is you get the Blessing if you overcast it, essentially. So that's kind of cool. Curse of the Ancient Witch. Affects allies in range. 5 of them. Gives them magical attacks, armor-piercing missile damage, base missile damage, and reload skill. So really good for our archers. Or it can be Curse of the Ancient Witch. As a curse, it lowers their armor and missile block chance. And it will spread to enemies within the spread range, so it'll affect up to 5 enemies, which is interesting. Handy. Vengeance of Spirits. The Curse is a direct damage area spell for units. and it silences them. This unit is unable to activate abilities or cast spells. So on the right unit, it can be really good. It affects all enemies in range. I wonder how big an area effect it is. 35 meters. Okay, so, decent size. But if you can catch a caster in there, I believe it stops them from casting spells. Blessing spell, Omen of Spirits. Looking at this and trying to figure out what the point of this is. It's got 3 uses, so apparently it's strong. But it deals damage to self and affects all allies within the 35-meter range. Gives them spell mastery and power recharge, though. So I guess it's cast it on a witch and watch her pump out damage while also taking damage. Not a ton, but 20 seconds worth of 15 damage a tick. I don't know. Evasion, that's great. Speed and melee defense as a passive is really good. Then we get up to the top stuff. Cauldron, Cursed Cauldron. Is a bombardment at 18 winds of magic. Pretty heavy. 2 damage per second for 22 seconds, though. Good against armor. It's got 100% armor piercing. That's some damage. Or it can be a blessing, which is also a bombardment. So it costs a little bit more, but the spell can't harm friendly units. Looks pretty close to the same. Other than that, I like that. I like the bombardments don't hurt my own guys. Malediction of Madness Hex. Lower their weapon damage, lower their melee attack by a lot, and make them rampage. Rampage unit is uncontrollable. Attacks the nearest enemy unit. They changed it. Now if there's no enemy units nearby, a rampage unit will move around randomly instead, which that'll be interesting to watch. Affects 1 enemy unit, so you can really kind of get somebody stuck in there and they're not doing a whole lot, which is good. Or Incantation of Mania, which does basically the exact opposite for one of our allies. Make him hit really hard, but also rampage. That's okay. Earthing, miscast base chance, 15%, as usual. Magical Reserves is good. Arcane Conduit is good. She doesn't get the, I believe it's called Improved Arcane Conduit, though. So, yeah, so we'll be pumping points up. Her spell line, we'll go ahead, which is probably first. I can't move that. Interesting. Her Hag Witch gives Protective Charms. Lowers attrition suffered, which is handy. I'm not sure. She's confident. That's cool. I'm trying to see this under abilities. No, I don't see it. Okay, I'm not sure what the percent is to start with, but that's not something I'm likely to cast into early. Hag's Curse Mark. Oh, yeah, the hags are weird. Give them, if you're using them as a agent, you can give Hag's Curse Mark, which gives them winded going into battle right off the top, which is funny. And Still Technology is really good. It's really handy to have a Hag Witch as an agent. This one won't be. I like beasts. I really like, not Curse of Anarchy, Transformation of Kadan. I love summoning the Manticores. Are really handy. Wild Heart is good. Not my favorite, but it's fine. Wiscian's Wild Form is also not my favorite, but it's handy, especially because it affects all. So it's a pretty good scrum kind of a spell with all your guys fighting. Flock of Doom, though, is a really, really good spell. Hits above weight, in my opinion. Pants Penetrable Belt. Probably won't take. If it affected more than one, kind of like the Wissen's Wild form, then that's something that would probably be one that I'd use more often. But speed, melee defense, physical resistance, those are all good. On one guy for 7 mana is speed, and then defense is a weird combination. Yeah, I don't care for Pan's Impenetrable Belt. Amber Spear, I usually end up taking and almost never cast. The magic missiles can be funky, and the only one that I like is Fireball. So there's that. Curse of Anne here. Again, a little expensive, but it lowers melee defense and attack against all enemies in a range. And so if you're casting that on a front line, that can be pretty handy. Accuracy is also handy if you happen to catch a ranged unit in that, but that's extra stuff that doesn't affect it all that much. But the summoning a Manticore is kind of the big thing. Okay. We will just go straight to Wissen's Wild and give her that. Awesome. That's pretty great. That's as far as Ostankya is going to be moving this turn. Let's take a look at the Witch's Hut. Witch's Hut allows us access to the Cauldron. We have 1 wood and 1 teeth trinket. You can only put 1 of each type of trinket into the Cauldron. We only have 2 slots unlocked as it is. This tells us what the blessings and the curses are going to do at a base, and will end up showing us how many of each we have. The only one that we can do is Whiff of Madness, because all we have is a yellow and a blue, which is wood teeth. And you can see, of course, the colors for all of these. At the bottom, we have special ones, which require a specific trinket that we have to pick up, that we will get hopefully later. End up having all of them, certainly, or most of them at any rate. So the only thing we can do right now is a curse, Whiff of Madness. Whiff of Madness will give 1 unit minus 12 melee defense, and it gives them Rampage, and its duration is infinite. So that'll be interesting to watch at the beginning. If Rampage works as it says, we will put that on one of their guys, and they should just be wandering around aimlessly until they get close enough to one of our units, in which case they will fight into them with lowered defense. But the trinkets themselves also have abilities depending on whether or not they're used as a blessing or a curse. So our person totem,
A rarity indeed.
Indeed, minus 8 leadership for that unit, and that is just an amazing ability. 8 less leadership for the entire fight is really good. Even on a more elite unit, means that you might be able to make them run from combat much earlier than they normally would. Our teeth. So as a curse, we'll also give them minus 25% charge bonus. That's fine. It's a fun one to use if you're putting it on cavalry. Hurt them a little bit. If we use it as a blessing, gives us plus 25 charge bonus. But we're not doing that. Create a Whiff of Madness. Our incantation costs 5, so we will go ahead and create the incantation. Aha! And we have 1. We have 1 Whiff of Madness. That can be used on 1 unit, 1 time. Now, you might say, hey, we've still got 30 of those left. Let's create some more incantations. But once a trinket is used, it cannot be used again until the next turn. So when we unlock a bunch more of these, we can create a handful of trinkets each turn. And once we unlock 4, we can add 4 effects per trinket. So we can kind of mix and match those. Also, you can always just do 2. You have to have at least 2 trinkets in order to create 1. So if you want to create a bunch, you can make them a little bit weaker, but you can make a bunch at once. Or if you want to make them stronger, you can do that, but you can't make as many as you like. But it does make it more of a choice when you're going to use them, because they are a limited resource. And these, if you look through, they tell you when you unlock them. So I can get an Orc Mauler if I form an alliance with, or if I defeat a Greenskin army in battle. Form an alliance with or defeat a Bretonnian army in battle, and that's basically what all of them are, is alliance or defeat specific armies. So that's basically what we'll be hunting down in order to get those. Super great. Let's go ahead and take a look at our buildings. Forest of Arnheim. Oh, it's a lot of damage. That's weird. It's almost like we ran through and damaged it. Woodsman's Hut. 50 income, some timber that we can trade with nobody right now. Recruitment cost. Don't care about that too much. Income from farms. That's actually pretty decent. Winds of Magic Power Reserve capacity +1 for all armies, which is also really good. So let's go ahead and repair that. Bleakhold Fortress is the one we're going to look at. Building browser. I cannot do any of a lot of the buildings until I control one of either Kislev, Erengrad, or Prague, or be allied with their owner to construct this. So I have to. It behooves me to send somebody way over there and make an alliance with the Tsarina, or the crazy preacher, Rasputin, in order to unlock these. Otherwise, I am left doing animal stuff. Not sure which ones I can do. Yeah, I gotta control. I have to control pretty much just the animal. The animal ones. So that's bats, spiderlings, giant spiders. Boop, boop, boop. Do get the frostworm though. A couple types of bears, war bear riders, and then the elemental bear. The settlement does give me Kossars and Kislevite warriors, though. I guess I didn't realize that. And I thought, oh yeah, okay. The Eerie Woods will give me the ability to hire Akashina ambushers. And honestly, with the animal thing and the ambushers and eventually the incarnate elementals, you can pretty much roll the campaign with all of that stuff. These guys are all great, and if we can get them, that's great. But we really don't need them with these guys. Just punch above weight until the point at which you're hitting with elemental bears and things anyways. Things in the woods. Would love some little groms, but that's fine. I do need to get Eerie Woods because we need to upgrade those guys. What do we got? 3,600 left. The army's probably not too. I would love a couple of snow leopards though. Let's go ahead and hold off on that for now. Technology. Would you like a technology? Their technology tree always is weird to me. Ice court stuff to get those guys. Casualty replenishment rate and growth is really good. Some resistance for guys that I cannot get. Melee defense ambushers are in there, but it's just 4. Actually, that might still be good though. Unlocks an ice court training slot for Frost Maiden heroes and hero capacity for Frost Maidens. I need that. I want to send a guy. If you look, we got an extra. Oh, come on. We've got one more hag witch than we're allowed to have. I don't know why they keep doing this. Because it means when I finally build something that allows me to have a hag witch, I don't gain anything. I literally lose resources to do that. I do get an extra Frost Maiden, which I don't have the ability to have either. Very funny. It's a great joke. We will go with casualty replenishment rate and growth early. Oh, that's right. She's got her own thing, though. Magical item drop chance, spell resistance, sympathetic undergrowth, ambush snipe for ambushers, so they remain hidden while shooting. Campaign movement range, minus 20% for enemy armies starting their turn in my region. That's good. 5% movement range. Speed plus 10 for all armies. That's, just really good. Fighting shadows. armor for plus 20 for things in the woods and forest animal units. That's also great and includes our bats. Again, bats can end up, and for this as well. And bonus infantry plus 8 for cave bat units. They just weirdly hit a buff weight for a long time if you pump them up. Does cost us 25 of our things. We can only do one of those per turn though. Growth plus 10, we don't even have a full province yet. And casualty 2. Let's hold off on that. Now it's really something. Man. Both of these are good. We're going to go fighting shadows. We'll take that.
The snows never needed the invention of fire.
They sure didn't. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end the turn here. Oh, that's something I didn't do.
Milk.
I actually do get to recruit regular Kossars and another spear guy. Kossars are supposed to be a hybrid unit. These guys are way above it. And the way Mother Ostankya works, I probably just want a third one. So it can have a front line of 3 of those. I'll probably end up with a 4th. Let's pick us a second bat, given what we're doing. I like that. That's good. Did the hut. Ice Corp can't do yet. I'll want that later. Technology we've done. Diplomacy we checked. Let's check it one more time.
Dreadlord, awaiting command.
These guys say, why wouldn't we want to be friends? We're Dark Elves. We'll go ahead and do that just to hold them off for a little bit.
Before I change my mind. Indeed.
Indeed.
Unparalleled power.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we'll end up fighting you, I'm pretty sure. That or you're going to die out. And we want to take the whole thing here down to Arnheim, Moonshard, which is along the coast, and then I'll end up having to take her and have to watch my back for Hag Hall. It's just kind of the way it is. I need to find the forest, which... I'm forgetting where it is, but I believe it's down here. I'm not sure. It's been a while. So, there it is. Cool. We'll end the turn. But that'll also be the end of this session. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. If you have any questions, complaints, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. Hit like and subscribe. I would love that. This is our pop-up plays for Mother Ostankya. My plan is to do at least a short campaign for her. One of the things I like about Ostankya and the Changeling is that they've got a very dedicated campaign. You've got a very dedicated goal. It's not just, take 35 locations, now take 120 locations. It's get the, for her, it's get the curses and get all the curses, and then I believe you have to cast the final curse, and you win. The Changeling has his schemes that makes playing them feel a little more directed and a little more doable rather than just do whatever you want, which is also fun. But if you want to do that, you have other legendary lords that get to do that. One of my complaints for the game in general, and they've kind of corrected this a little bit with the short and long campaign victories, is I would love to see, I think in my mind, 3 short campaign victories and 2 long campaign victories for each legendary lord. And then you can choose one of the 3 short ones to do, and then pick one of the 2 long ones to do, and then do the final, I forget what you call it, but the final fight. That's not how it's set up, though. There's a mod, and I like using mods, but I'm not using any mods for these because I kind of want to play them straight. That's not quite true. I am using the camera mod for battles, but there's a mod that adds a bunch of extra, I guess, lore-friendly victory conditions for a bunch of the legendary lords. And I use that quite a bit because it gives you some extra options for playing, and giving the short and long victory at least is much better in my opinion than Warhammer 1 and 2. But I would like to have seen more options added for all of them, so you can do a few different things there. We got our technology. We got plus 20 armor for our animals, and cave bats get a bonus of 8 for versus infantry, which is great. can't do the others because I'm going to need that to go up, so actually we'll go with ice sculpting first.
Such strange
And I
newness.
will see the game. Thank you once again for joining me. I'm not sure when the second episode of this will go up, but you can hit that notification bell and it'll let you know when we put videos up, and you can keep an eye out for it. Once again, thank you for joining me.